Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, Pastella28. Today I'm going to show you how you can make this adorable pastel colored cupcake. Well, it's a rainbow cupcake. So if you want to know how to make this, keep on watching. I started off by taking rainbow colors and mixing them with white so that I would gain pastel colors. And I've done this with 6 different colors that you can see right here, and I just rolled them into a tiny ball. I started off with the color I want the lowest. In my case, I chose purple, but you can also start with any other color that you want. And I just flattened it out into a disc and pressed it into my cupcake mold, and because my mold is kind of slippery, it kind of came out in between, but I guess it worked. You just kind of have to work with it. And then I took the next color, which was blue, flattened that out, pressed it in, and then I used a gigantic dotting tool to press it in so that it wouldn't like fall out right away like at the beginning with the purple one. And I continued that with all my layers until the whole cupcake base is filled up with all the colors of the rainbow that I wanted on my cupcake base. Now I used some tan clay and I shaped it into a dome kind of shape until it had the size of my cupcake base, and then I placed it on top while the whole cupcake was still in the mold and kind of played around with it and shaped it nicely. Then I continued by taking a toothbrush and texturing the cupcake dome top shape. So I just took a toothbrush and started pressing that around on top. Then I took some aluminum foil, rolled it into a ball, and started to roll that over my clay too, so that it would give it even more texture, and that way my cupcake would look even more realistic. Now, my next step was to start shading the cupcake. I used this yellow ochre-y color and shaded some of that off with a razor blade, and then I used some of this burnt sienna color, and then I just took a makeup brush and started to mix it together on a piece of paper so that I had my desired color to shade with. Then once I've got that, I picked some up with the makeup brush and swooped that on the edges so that the cupcake would be really dark on the edges. And I used a lot of color there because if you really bake a cupcake and look at it exactly, the edges are going to be darker than the center. So I started with the edges so that was darker, and then I started to shade the inside portion so that would be shaded too. Then I wasn't quite happy, so I took some like really dark brown color and I only used a tiny bit, and I put that on my makeup brush as well, and then just put that along the edges so that way it would look a little bit burnt because I wanted that effect. Then I took some of my pastel colors again and rolled it into a little teardrop shape. I don't know if it's teardrop shape, but you see what I'm doing. Then I placed lots of them together, and once I've done that, I like folded them together into like a circle. It's easier if you just watch, and then I rolled it out together even more, but I sadly rolled it out a little bit too much, so I started to like squish it together again until it started to have the shape that I originally wanted. Then I just took a icing tip. I'm not quite sure, I think it's a Wilton icing tip definitely, and I think it's the number 21, but I'm not quite sure. And I just took the back of the pen and started to squeeze through my pastel rainbow colored icing. And this is a little tougher than normal icing, but it works. Then once I've got a little chunk of that, I start to twirl it so that it would give it a more nice icing looking effect. And then once I've done that, I started off with the bottom and started to like curl it up and twist it into a icing shape. So now again, it's easier to watch me do it. And then at the end, you should have like a little rainbow unicorn poop. That's how it's supposed to look like. Then I start to pop out the cupcake out of my cupcake base carefully without trying to damage any of the texture it gave. Then once I've done that, I just took some Fimo liquid. It's basically liquid polymer clay and it's transparent, so it's perfect to use for this project. And I just applied some to the bottom of my rainbow unicorn poop, and then I gently pressed it onto the top of the cupcake so that it was nice and secure for baking. Then I baked my creation in the oven, and depending on what clay you are using, you will have to check the instructions that are on the packaging and follow those. Then once I've done that, I used some Fimo Accessories gloss varnish And this already comes with a little paintbrush on the top, at least the tinier bottle. And then I just started to dip the paintbrush, into a little pot of gloss varnish and started to paint it onto my clay creation. That way the creation was nice and glossy and it would seal in all the shading and other work we have done onto it. Once you are done with that, you are done with your complete creation. And that was it for this video today. I hope you enjoyed, and I can't wait to see you in my next video, and hopefully you will try to recreate this creation. Bye!